Huge shout out and thank you to all my patrons. Join now to help support the channel and help pick the books that I review. Link in the description below. Y'all, it is time to do something I haven't done in a while. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I know for certain the books that I'm going to be reading during the month of September. So here we are, got the September TBR going. I might get back into the flow of doing TBRs. I have finally gotten myself straightened out. I've got a new flow going with the channel. I think it's okay for me to start planning books again. I'm almost done with the ones that I accepted for review where I gave a deadline. Going forward, I'm not doing that anymore. Life is so unpredictable, and I am one of the few that I say this channel is a hobby and I actually mean it, and I'm going to treat it as such, meaning I want to read what I want to read when I want to read it. Dang it. Let's talk about what I want to read in September. First up, those of you that have been watching the channel the last few weeks, you know I have been talking about this one. It came in the mail yesterday. I'm going to be reading Valley by Stacey McEwen. This is the final installment in the Glacian trilogy, and oh my goodness, I am incredibly excited to read this one, see what the conclusion is going to be for Dawson and her quest to free her people. If you've been watching the channel, you know I've been talking about it for a while now. Another book 3 that I am very excited to get my little hands on. It's The Ark. This book is going to come out in October sometime. I'm so sorry I did not look up the date for when that book is going to be released. Don't worry, I'm going to review it here on the channel. I'll remind you all then. The name of the book, Shadow of the Smoking Mountain by Howard Andrew Jones. This is the 3rd book in my favorite sword and sorcery fantasy series, The Chronicles of Hanavar. The previous 2 books have seen Hanavar and his small band of allies. They have faced frightening odds. They have fought warriors of all kinds. They have battled with sinister magic. All of this they did with the same end goal, and that is to free the Vallani people from being slaves to the Dervan Empire. In this installment of the series, Hanavar has shifted his focus to the south, where hundreds of his people are still laboring under the yoke of the Dervan Empire, but there are other forces who have begun advancing agendas of their own. I have absolutely no idea what this is going to mean for Hanavar and his group, but I cannot wait to find out. As I'm looking at my list here, I have a ton of continuations. Most of these are book 2s and 3s. This is Sequel September. That's what I'm going to name this video, Sequel September. I love it. Okay, next on the list is The Puzzle Box. A few months ago, I accepted for review from the publisher The Puzzle Master by Danielle Trussoni and loved it. If my memory serves me correctly, this book, while it is part of the series and it features the same main character, it can be read as a standalone. And when I read the book description, it certainly sounds that way to me. It had nothing to do with the first book at all. For those of you who love mysteries, thrillers, suspense novels, The Puzzle Box, the puzzle series actually, might belong on your TBR. In The Puzzle Box, it's the Year of the Wood Dragon. Puzzle master Mike Brink has been invited to Tokyo to attempt to open the legendary Dragon Box. The Dragon Box is this mysterious 19th century puzzle that has remained unsolved for 150 years. The book description teases that Mike's quest to open this box takes him all around Japan, and somewhere along the way he discovers the true nature of his extraordinary talent to be able to solve these complex puzzles. I am really excited to read this one, and I forgot to mention I got the Ark. I was approved on NetGalley. I want to say this book comes out sometime in October, but if you haven't read the first one yet, I will link my review in the description box below. Next on the series, I will be continuing my adventure through the lit RPG series Dungeon Crawler Carl. Book 5 is called The Butcher's Masquerade. We are finally going to get to these hunting grounds that I have been hearing about so much in the first 4 books. The book description also revealed why this is called the hunting grounds. outside tourists are finally allowed to enter the game, which was quite the shock when I read it. I cannot imagine what Carl and Donut are going to do when they find out about it, but I can't wait to read and find out what's going to happen next. This is such a fantastic series. Cannot recommend it enough. Next on my list, I will be reading Save Game by Joseph Sales. I have an ulterior motive for reading this one, and this is the first time you're going to hear me say, don't go out and get this one. I'm reading a remastered version because after I finish this one, I get to beta read the follow-up, which is called Death Game. But this is a science fiction fantasy also related to the gaming world, and what caught my attention about the current book description that it has is that it says it's inspired by the amazing and eclectic everyday people who inhabit the gaming world and the pain of their real-world lives. Save Game aims to show the courage of those who feel they've got no place in reality. Who of you out there does that not just hit you some kind of way? That just reached its little hand in my heart and squeezed. I felt that, y'all. So I'm very excited to read this one. Not only am I looking forward to getting to immerse myself in Joseph Sales' writing, I'm really looking forward to exploring that premise. It's perfect timing for me because I'm right in the middle of my madness. That is the obsession of the Dungeon Crawler Carl world. I'm going to tell y'all all about it, so keep your ears open. That's coming very soon on the channel. I'll have to check and make sure it's okay with Joseph if I go ahead and start promoting that. I don't know exactly when the remastered version followed by the sequel is going to be out, but I'll check and let you know in an upcoming video. I don't have a physical copy of this next book. It's on the way. Huge thank you to Shauna Lawless and her publisher. I will be reading The Land of the Living and the Dead this month. This is the third book in the historical fantasy mythology Gale Song series. I am thrilled. For those of you who have been reading this series, and the first two books and the companion novellas, they've been full of scheming by Gormfla and Thomas. And oh my goodness, I don't know how I feel because the first book, I've always hated Thomas. But Gormfla, I was like, ooh, she's a villain I love to hate. But in the second book, the author really humanized Gormfla, and now I don't know what I want to happen, but I'm excited to read about it. I cannot wait to see what the outcome is going to be. Ireland has been ravaged by war time and time again. Over the centuries, it has bled so much. What's going to become of it? What's going to be left? There's only one possible outcome from all of the events that have led up to this point, and that is war. I can't wait to find out. Another series that I am so excited to continue is The Fall of the Giants by Gregory Contaxis. This is the second book in the Dance of Light. After I read the prequel novella to this series, I have just been dying to finish it. I've just messed myself up with my schedule the last few months. It is finally happening. The question is, am I going to be able to continue without going back and rereading the first two books in the series? What I think I'm going to do is save this one for my last read of September, and if I have time, I'm going to squeeze in a reread of the first two in the series because they are just dynamite. But will I really be able to do that? Because I am so excited to continue. What is going to happen? Well, y'all will just have to hang around the channel and find out. In this particular book, Elliot, our main character, he's left Elmore, he's left his friends, he's going on this impossible mission that if anybody can do it, he is the one, and so he's going to try. Supposedly, there are these elder races. They're the ones that had all of the magic. I can't remember if they simply retreated, took shelter, or if they were forced to go and live in what is called the Mountains of the Forgotten World. According to legend, these elder races have been cursed. Elliot is going to go and attempt to break the curse and see if he can get the elder races to help him defeat Walter, which is the best villain name ever. Walter. It sounds so unassuming, but this guy is anything but. Cannot wait to dig into this one. Oh my goodness. Just And then the last series that I am going to be continuing this month is Blood Reunion, which is the third book or turn 3 of the Hybrid Helix series. I am literally dying. So apparently vampires or creatures that resemble vampires have infiltrated the sentient space station Wistful Ascending, which is where our main character Rohan works as a tow chief. I cannot wait to follow Rohan as he attempts to find these creatures. I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. This is going to be my favorite book in the series so far. My final book, which I believe is the only book on this TBR this month that is not a sequel or continuing a series. It's my patron pick of the month, and it's called 20th Century Ghost by Joe Hill. This is a collection of short stories by Joe, who I have never read. I have read so many Stephen King novels. I even own a Joe Hill book. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Andrew's Wizardly Reads was my patron pick for September. This is what he chose. He read it recently, loved it. I cannot wait to experience it myself. Y'all know I love a good short story, especially when they're spooky. That's going to be a perfect addition to the September TBR to get me in that mood for October. So that's what I'm going to be reading in September. Feel free to jump down in the comments below, share what you're going to be reading. If you've read any of the books I've talked about today, I'd love to hear what you thought, or if you just want to say what you think I'm going to think. I think that would be fun to read about. I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you even see something that's going to go on your September TBR. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and remember, a good book is always worth talking about. Thanks again to all my patrons, with a special shout out to my top tier patrons, my Nerds Radiant, Chad, John, Gail, Amanda, Ashley, Star, Tara, Ann, Amanda, Andrew, Kate, Ev, and Sharon.